Hello, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden, and thank you for joining me. This video is in 5 different playlists because this one is a big one. This is my first time talking about this. And this afternoon, about 2 hours ago, it finally all clicked into place. It's been something I've been hypothesizing for a while. I've talked about it a little bit in my parenting classes. I've talked about it a little bit in my love relationship classes. And today I finally found the terminology to present it and say, I know what this is. The term is emotional prosthetic. And understanding what an emotional prosthetic is going forward is going to change a lot about how we think about love, parenting, relationships. It's going to really put in perspective who you are, also who are the people you love beside you. When you have emotions, there are 4 sources that they come from. The 2 I want to talk about right now is your love system and your fear system. Your love system is composed of all the things you love. They are the things that define who you are. It is a feeling and a system based off of security, knowing, definition, all love. Likewise, your fear system is built off of pain, trauma, and fear. Your fear system is based off of scarcity. Your love system is based off of abundance. Yes, if you are into manifestation, this is going to matter to you. When we fall in love with someone, that love, that feeling, can come from 2 places. True love comes from the love system. Common love comes from the fear system. The difference between true love and common love is true love is absolutely zero of all emotion because it is a state of being. And when it is common love, it is supercharged with emotion because it is coming from a place of a motivator emotion, basically fear-based, scarcity. Things that can drive this is a scarcity of love, a scarcity of attention, a scarcity of affection, a scarcity of sex, a scarcity of belonging, acceptance, abandonment, approval, rejection. It is common in narcissism. It is common with people who equate love with being needed and love with needing other people. If you need other people, well, you're a narcissist. If you think that love is needing other people, this is the core belief that creates narcissistic behavioral disorder. Love equals being needed is the core belief that feeds codependency. It is the primary love definition that creates the empath's requirements for attracting a narcissist. Because the empath is walking around going, I need to be needed. I need someone to need me so I feel love. And the narcissist is the first in line to say, I need you. Which is why the empath attracts the narcissist, which is why the narcissist attracts the empath so efficiently. Is because both of them define love as being needed or needing someone. Actual love, when you look at what actual love is is a celebration of the self. It is what feels right, what feels good, and what gives you joy. It is 100% absent of fear. It is loving something out of pure happiness, without any fear, without any need. If you need somebody, that is fear-based. If you love somebody and you are immediately enamored with euphoria, you are not experiencing love. You are experiencing the euphoric emotion because somebody is seeing you. You are feeling the euphoric emotion because you are visible. And that is giving you an adrenaline rush. That is why common love, the in love feeling that everyone thinks it is actually euphoria. It is not love at all. It is the elation you feel when someone finally notices you, accepts you, has approved of you. This is not love. Real love starts off warm and slow. It is a very fuzzy, slow growth. This is the best part. Real love is not an emotion. It is a state of being. Here's how you tell the difference. A state of being never changes. It just keeps growing, and it will continue to grow for the rest of your life, no questions asked. And it's very unemotional when it does so because it is a state of being. If it's emotional, it comes in quick and it goes out fast. It changes and it fluxes and it moves depending upon the current situation you're in. Love is stable. Fear-based love is not. Now, when we are missing our core ethics, such as self-comfort, resourcefulness, ability to have security, insecurity. When you feel insecure, when you lack the ability to comfort yourself, when you lack resources, we look for people to provide these things to us. In the case of a woman looking for resources, she'll marry due to a man's financial status because she lacks her own resourcefulness. This is what we call an emotional prosthetic. Her husband is now her emotional prosthetic because she is using her husband, a human being, to emotionally provide the feeling of resourcefulness from him. This is parasitic. A man will often marry a woman who can comfort him because he doesn't know how to. He is using his wife as a prosthetic for his inability to provide his own emotional support. Now, that's an emotional prosthetic. When you are incapable of comforting yourself, so you go get an emotionally support animal, what you are really doing is using an animal as an emotional prosthetic instead of learning how to do your own self-comfort or provide your own resource or taking care of your own security. We feel insecure when we fail to assert our own boundaries, when we fail to protect our own self using our words. When this happens, we develop insecurity. Now we have a fear of rejection. We have a fear of abandonment. We have a fear of not being loved. So we seek out people like prosthetics to emotionally plug into our needs so we feel better, so we feel whole. I call this toxic romance or toxic love, and it is rampant in our country, where we develop an entire concept of the needing to love each other. Well, that's just emotional prosthetic. The most common is a woman who was told and was raised at a very young age that without her children, she has no identity. So children equals her identity. So now you have a woman, a child, a female child, who is raised from the time she is 2 years old, believing that her whole purpose in life is to breed and have children because she is in pursuit of her identity. So that by the time this woman finally has children, anywhere from 12 years old, this is why, 12 years old to 22 years old, what she is actually doing is using her children as an emotional prosthetic for her lack of identity. What she ends up teaching her children in that circumstance every time is that love equals being needed, or love equals needing someone. And that gives birth to the narcissist pandemic. So now you have how many women in the country unable to define themselves until they have children. So they use their children as emotional prosthetics. So now here's the question. Were you your mother's emotional prosthetic? Were you your partner's emotional prosthetic? Are you using someone as an emotional prosthetic? Are you using your children as an emotional prosthetic? Now, here's the problem when you are using people as emotional prosthetics. First of all, you are enabling your problem. You are enabling your mental illness. You are literally creating a codependency between you and your emotional prosthetic, including your emotional support animal. Anytime you use anything other than your own skill set to take care of your ethics or your emotional needs, you are using something else as an emotional prosthetic, which enables your inability to take care of yourself, which reaffirms your lesson in your mind that you are not capable of taking care of yourself. So you keep turning to people. Now, this is fear-based. This isn't love-based. So when that partner says to you, I want a divorce, and you feel total emotional annihilation, it's because your prosthetic is being taken away. That isn't love. When your child says, I'm going to grow up and get married, and you emotionally fall apart because your child is moving away and growing up, that's an emotional prosthetic. When your child is just growing up and getting older, and you are having emotional fits because your child is growing up, that's an emotional prosthetic. That isn't love-based. That is you using people to supplement your own inability to take care of your own self. You should not be feeling empty when your child leaves the nest. Empty nest syndrome is an emotional prosthetic to a woman who has completely defined herself by her children. She's using her children as her own identity instead of defining her own identity. If you are obsessed with your partner and you are adamant that you are truly and completely in love, but you can't stand and you are enraged every time they spend time away from you, that's an emotional prosthetic. Now we're going to go back to the crime of passion. A crime of passion is actually a severe fear-induced case of an emotional prosthetic where somebody is so fear-driven of losing their emotional prosthetic that they kill or attack the person they love. Now, people think this is anger. It's not anger, because anger is all about self-love. No, 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 no. This is fear. This is a whole nother level of fear. So they're terrified of losing an emotional prosthetic. This is why people have serial relationships, because they require the emotional prosthetic where they are constantly jumping from relationship to make sure that they have what they need, because what they need is security, but they don't have security. Because what they have instead is insecurity, because they are not using their defense system to step up and say, this is exactly what it is we need. These are what my wants are, and these are what my needs are. And hey, you're projecting on me. Keep your shit off of me. Hey, I need to make sure I don't internalize that. I'm going to be assertive. I'm going to take care of myself. Now, you don't need an emotional prosthetic because you are solid, because you are comfortable. In order to get this, you require the 6 core ethics of the stages of growth that your parents failed to teach you in early childhood. That is what is wrong with the world today. Almost everybody is an emotional prosthetic, or they are using other people as emotional prosthetics instead of learning the 6 stages of foundational growth as outlined by Dr. Graves' work in the 1970s. Once you learn these 6 stages, you're fine. Now, here's the catch. If you love your partner, if you love your children, if you love your partner, from a place of true love, then your partner will be seated completely in a love-based state of being. They're not going anywhere. But if your partner is at all a fear-based love, where you are attaching yourself in a codependency, which is completely steeped in a parasitic relationship because you are using them as an emotional prosthetic, then as you heal, you're going to become more disgusted with your partner. As you heal, you're going to hate your partner. As you heal, you're going to outgrow your partner because you don't need the prosthetic anymore. And then you're going to realize your partner's not going to abandon you. You are going to throw your partner away because your partner emanates an emotional prosthetic that you no longer need. That is what a lot of people don't realize is when you start healing, your loved ones don't abandon you. You end up throwing them away because you don't need the emotional prosthetic anymore. But if you know that your partner came from a place that is love-based and is a state of being in celebration of your identity, your partner won't go anywhere. Your partner will stay right by you. So you should not fear growth because there is more likelihood that you will end up outgrowing your partner if they're a prosthetic, and then you'll be able to go find one that's actually healthy and proper for you coming from a place of love. Or your love is going to get stronger as you heal. In fact, as you heal and it's a proper true love state of being, your partner will be inspired to heal themselves also, and then it will probably become a competition thing between you two where you sit there and take turns healing each other. That is most likely what will happen if it is a love-based state of being type of love. All you're going to lose are the prosthetics. Now, if your children are your prosthetics, this is what's going to happen. This is beautiful. Your children actually won't go anywhere. As you heal, what's going to happen is your relationship and your parental skills with your children are going to improve drastically so that you start nurturing triadic healing. I teach this right into your children. So as you establish yourself with triadic healing, you can then take this information, teach it to your children, nurture your own children's identity, nurture your own children's security. You will finally be parenting your children properly instead of from a place of emotional prosthetic, and your children will finally become the people they need to become with these 6 stages of ethics so that they can be stable and secure and not get abused. Ideal. This is awesome shit, and it fucking works. It's amazing. Friendships are the same way. If your friendship is an emotional prosthetic, you will outgrow your friend. And you will look at each other and be like, oh my God, you don't fit me at all because they're an emotional prosthetic. But if your friendship is love-based in a celebration of state of being, your friendship is going to get stronger. So by learning the 6 stages, what you're going to see is everything that is love-based is going to amplify. It's going to grow. It's going to expand. It's beautiful. And your children are really going to result from this. It's beautiful. Your partners, your friends, anyone else, not your children, who is an emotional prosthetic will literally just kind of fall away. Your children will not go anywhere. Your children will not go anywhere. Now, The flip side of all this that's going to be the biggest problem is your roots, your own parents. Those are going to be the problem. The reason why your parents are going to be the problem is because, number one, your parents are your abusers. That is something no one likes to hear, but it's true. Your parents are your abusers. You are messed up because your parents messed you up. You are messed up because your parents messed you up because you are most likely their emotional prosthetic. Because you are their emotional prosthetic, they don't want their emotional prosthetic to grow. If you are not doing the work, you wouldn't be here, but you are, so don't worry about this. But example, if you were not doing the work and your child, who is your emotional prosthetic, started to do this work, they would start telling you no. They would start giving you boundaries. They would start telling you, you can't use me anymore. I'm not your emotional prosthetic. Figure your own identity out. Now, you don't want to figure your own identity out because that's hard, or that's work, or that's painful, or you don't understand how, or you don't even have a place to begin, or you haven't found triadic healing. So your children are now shoving you away saying, yeah, you're not allowed to use me anymore. I'm not your emotional prosthetic. So now your parents are going to be the biggest problem, because parents, they want their emotional prosthetics. And depending upon the age of your parents, if they are fourth perspectives, they will not grow. If you have parents who are in the second, third, or fourth perspective, they are not going to like you growing. They want you to be an emotional prosthetic because that means they don't have to grow. And people who are in perspectives 1 through 4 do not like growth. So if your parent is a perspective 1 through 4, they probably are, which is why you've been abused so horribly. It is because you are up against the emotional prosthetic. So expect your parents to reject you. Expect them to significantly abuse you. If your parents are narcissists, oh yeah, it's going to get ugly. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to do like a whole thing during the course of how to deal with narcissistic parents while you go through Triadic Healing, because this is where it gets ugly. I see it every time. Every one of my clients. First of all, every one of my clients has narcissistic parents. Everyone. And every one of them reports the same thing. So I started doing your work and my parents are mad. Yeah, narcissists don't like it when they lose their emotional prosthetic. A narcissist empath relationship. Empaths are all emotional prosthetics. Every empath is an emotional prosthetic to a narcissist. Every one of them. If you had a mother who was an empath and she had a child and she used your oldest sibling as the narcissist so that she served the narcissist sibling 100% of the time and you were completely ignored, that means that you are the emotional prosthetic to your mother's needs. So she's probably not going to cling so much to you because you're the leftovers. That's the way narcissism works. If you have a parent that's a narcissist, however, and they are using you as the empath, that's the problem. In the case of the mother who is using her own child as the emotional prosthetic, then when she decides to do her own healing, the narcissist is going to latch onto her. That's going to be a problem. And that's what they're going to do. Narcissists love to latch on and hold on because I need you. You are needed. The other half of that sentence is I need to use you. When a narcissist says I need you, what they're really saying is I need to use you. And if you are an emotional prosthetic, an empath, that's a great relationship for the narcissist. For the narcissist. Most of my clients, no, all of my clients are people who are empaths, who are emotional prosthetics, coming to me saying, I need help, get me out of this. I was abused by a narcissist. Oh yeah, you were an emotional prosthetic and now you want to be a person and you don't want to be someone else's prosthetic. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So there's going to be lashback. There's going to be a lot of problems when you finally rise up and say, I'm not going to be an emotional prosthetic for you anymore. The narcissist is really going to come down. Now, if you have a parent who is both a narcissist and an empath, they're going to gang up on you. The narcissist is going to latch down and hold on to you and shame you and guilt you and make you feel like shit for not being their emotional prosthetic anymore. And the empath is going to be probably soothing you and then saying, you really need to do what your father says. Maybe you shouldn't do this. You really shouldn't. And there's all those shoulds. So that is really, you're not going to have a problem with your partner unless you are in a relationship with a narcissist. You're not going to have a problem with any friends unless you have a bunch of narcissists. You're really going to have a problem with your parents. Anytime you do any kind of healing, you are stepping up and you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to be your emotional prosthetic anymore, mom. Sorry, you need to go work on your own identity because I am not your identity, mom. That's really what you're saying. And your mom, who's completely defined by her children, is going to, well, don't you love me? You've all heard that one. Yeah. Manipulative guilt. Yeah. That's it right there. So this is really what you are doing. This is life as an emotional prosthetic. And it's also keeping yourself in check to make sure, are you doing the mental work or are you using people or animals as emotional prosthetics? My cat, Tribble, was my emotional prosthetic. She passed away in 2013. And when I lost my emotional prosthetic due to mouth cancer, I went downhill real fast. 2 years later, I was in the emergency room. And it's all because I lost my emotional prosthetic, my cat. So if you have a support animal that you are using, if you are using a pet for an emotional prosthetic, if you are using a human being, a child, as an emotional prosthetic, this is not going to end well. Not at all. Not even a little bit. Because people are mortal and it's not healthy. And this is absolutely enabling your insecurity. So when I say to you, this is what triadic healing actually does, all of it, it is literally the removal of emotional prosthetics so that you are no longer using other people as emotional prosthetics, and no one is going to use you as an emotional prosthetic ever again. If you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you, and donate to the garden. Help the garden grow. And if you want to jump in with Triadic Healing, this is a free DIY course that I offer on my website. Click the link below and enroll. We have an integration workshop, and we also have one-on-one walkthroughs if you're also interested in that. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.